Maya thought she was falling behind. Her friends were buying houses, driving newer cars, and posting vacations she couldn't justify. Meanwhile, she had a normal salary and no flashy lifestyle. Then one night, she opened her finances and discovered something completely unexpected. She wasn't rich, but financially, she was far ahead of where she thought she was, and she had almost no idea. For years, Maya measured her financial progress by what she could see. Her friend's new car meant they were ahead. Her colleague's bigger house meant they were winning. Someone's expensive vacation looked like proof of success. Maya couldn't see their debt, savings, investments, or financial stress. She was comparing her private financial reality to everyone else's public highlight reel. The first sign Maya had underestimated was simple. She could handle an unexpected expense without immediately reaching for a credit card. Her emergency savings wasn't enormous, but it existed. That meant one broken appliance, medical bill, or sudden repair wouldn't automatically become long-term debt. Maya hadn't noticed the achievement because nothing dramatic happened, and sometimes financial progress looks exactly like nothing going wrong. The second sign was even more important. Maya had received raises over the years, but her lifestyle hadn't expanded at the same speed. She still lived comfortably without constantly upgrading everything. Her salary increased while her basic spending stayed relatively stable. That gap was quietly becoming wealth. She had never called it a strategy, but her restraint was doing more work than she realized. The third sign was something Maya had almost overlooked. She wasn't borrowing money to look successful. She could have financed a luxury car or used credit to fund expensive weekends, but she didn't. Her friends sometimes teased her for driving an ordinary vehicle. Maya used to feel embarrassed. Now she realized something powerful. Protecting your finances can look boring before it starts looking smart. Then Maya checked a number she rarely looked at: net worth. Her bank account wasn't impressive, but her retirement investments had grown. Her small investment account was contributing every month. Her debt was slowly falling. Nothing looked dramatic from the outside, but when she added everything together, one line had been quietly moving upward for years. Her wealth was growing even when her lifestyle looked exactly the same. The fifth sign was less obvious. Maya had started buying back small pieces of her time. She could occasionally pay for something that removed an unnecessary burden without damaging her budget. More importantly, her growing savings meant she didn't have to accept every opportunity out of fear. Money was slowly giving her choices, and choice is one of the most valuable forms of wealth. Maya then made one final comparison, but this time she compared herself to her past, not to other people. 5 years earlier, she had no emergency fund, carried more debt, and saved almost nothing. Today, she had financial protection, investments, and fewer obligations. Suddenly, the question wasn't whether she looked rich, it was whether her money was moving in the right direction. The sixth sign wasn't sitting inside Maya's bank account, it was in her decisions. She could turn down an expensive trip, a shopping opportunity, or a job she didn't want without feeling financially desperate. A few years earlier, every unexpected expense had felt like an emergency. Now, Maya had enough financial breathing room to make choices instead of reacting to pressure. The seventh sign was something Maya noticed emotionally before she noticed it financially. Money used to occupy her thoughts constantly. She worried about bills, emergencies, and unexpected expenses. Now, those thoughts appeared less often. She wasn't suddenly wealthy. She simply had systems protecting her. Automatic savings, manageable expenses, and growing investments were quietly doing their jobs while she lived her life. The eighth sign was surprisingly simple. Maya knew where her money went. She didn't track every coffee obsessively, but she understood her major expenses: recurring subscriptions, debt payments, savings rate, and investments.
That awareness gave her control. Money wasn't mysteriously disappearing anymore. When you understand where your money goes, you can finally decide where you want it to go. Then Maya noticed another change. Her finances were becoming simpler. Fewer unnecessary subscriptions, fewer impulse purchases, less consumer debt, fewer accounts she never checked. Her money wasn't scattered across dozens of financial obligations anymore. Simplicity gave her something surprisingly valuable: clarity, and clarity made better decisions easier. She realized that financial progress wasn't always about adding more. Sometimes it's about removing what no longer matters. For the first time, Maya stopped asking whether she looked successful compared with everyone else. She looked at her own numbers instead. Her emergency fund was stronger, debt was lower, investments were growing, and her lifestyle remained manageable. None of it looked impressive on social media, but financially, she was moving forward. Maya finally realized that quiet progress was still progress. After finding all 10 signs, Maya expected to feel rich. Instead, she felt something different: calm. That distinction mattered. She realized financial health wasn't a finish line where everything suddenly became perfect. It was a direction. If savings were rising, debt was falling, investments were growing, and spending stayed under control, she was already moving toward financial freedom, even if nobody could see it. Then Maya performed one final experiment. She opened social media and looked at the people she'd spent years comparing herself with. The luxury cars were still there. The vacations were still there. The designer clothes were still there. But this time, she didn't feel behind. She knew something she couldn't see from a photograph. Looking wealthy and being financially healthy are two completely different things. Maya finally understood why she had felt poor despite making progress. She had been measuring herself against other people's possessions instead of her own financial trajectory. The real question wasn't, "Do I look wealthy?" It was, "Am I becoming harder to financially break?" That question changed everything, because when your savings rise, your debt falls, and your assets grow, you're already becoming wealthier. Maya changed the question she asked herself every month. Instead of asking whether she was rich enough, she asked whether her financial position was stronger than it was 6 months ago. Was her emergency fund larger? Was her debt smaller? Were her investments growing? Were her expenses becoming more intentional? Suddenly, progress became measurable, and comparison became much less important. So Maya created a simple 6-month test. She wrote down her savings, total debt, investments, monthly essential expenses, and net worth. Then she promised herself she wouldn't compare those numbers with anyone else's. 6 months later, she checked again. If savings had increased, debt had fallen, assets had grown, and expenses remained manageable, she would count that as genuine progress. Maya also stopped doing 3 things that had quietly damaged her confidence. She stopped checking other people's lifestyles for proof that she was behind. She stopped treating every raise as permission to spend more. And she stopped judging financial success by appearances. Instead, she focused on resilience, ownership, and choice. Those 3 ideas became her new definition of getting ahead. Now imagine asking yourself 10 quick questions. Do you have emergency savings? Is your debt under control? Are your investments growing? Can you handle an unexpected bill? Are your expenses manageable? Do you know where your money goes? Can you say no to unnecessary spending? Is your net worth rising? If most answers are yes, you may be doing much better than you think. If Maya's story sounds familiar, don't try to become rich overnight. Start by strengthening the foundation. Build an emergency cushion. Keep lifestyle increases slower than income increases. Eliminate expensive debt. Automate investing. Track your major expenses and measure your net worth every few months.
The goal isn't to look wealthier tomorrow, it's to become harder to financially break next year.
Maybe you don't have the biggest house. Maybe your car isn't impressive. Maybe your vacations aren't filling social media. But if your savings are growing, your debt is shrinking, your investments are working, and your financial choices are becoming easier, you're already moving in the right direction. That's real progress. If this changed how you see wealth, subscribe to Zahra Invest and tell us which sign describes you.